This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
Questions ought to be asked around, okay, so who gets sanctioned or otherwise? We're getting into a conversation around law enforcement and double standards, disparities in pursuing speech violations across opposing political camps. The Honourable Ngogoyo Onesmus is the Member of Parliament for Kajiado North constituency, joins us this morning. Good morning.
Morning to you.
Karibu sana.
Thank you.
And we've not seen him in a very long time. Danvers Macquarie, former NCIC commissioner, is also here this morning. Good morning, Danvers.
Good morning. How are you doing?
Good. How are you?
Back. Very good.
Very
Good.
Karibu sana.
Thank you.
Thank you both for being here. It's going to be an interesting one because we have questions, but also then some clarifications sought over certain things and then be able to engage in discourse. But one thing that's sure is that Dennis has a proverb for you, and he'll tell you where that's from. And we'd love to get your interpretation.
Yes.
Okay.
Today we are in Mali. And when you think about Mali, think about their gold. But when you think about their gold, think about what that has done to the country because of political instability we see today. It's because everyone is trying to control that wealth. But that notwithstanding as well, I remember one Mansa Musa, the richest man to have ever been known in the continent because of the vast of wealth that he had because of the same gold. They have this great mosque, and it is a UNESCO World Heritage Site because of the architecture that went into it, because they used mud and bricks to bring it up, and it stands out. You see it and you're like, wow, the people knew exactly what they were doing. But the proverb we get from Mali today: you will never reach your destination if you stop and throw stones at every dog that barks. You will never reach your destination if you stop and throw stones at every dog that barks. How would you interpret it, Danvers?
Simple. Avoid distractions in life. Be focused. Because there will always be distractions. Things, people, situations. But if you know where you're going and what you're supposed to do, you remain focused, because that's life. I mean, there will always be things to pull your attention, and it's upon you to decide what is more important, where you're going, what you're supposed to be doing, or the things that are seemingly urgent. Pulling your distractions, and basically it's about distraction.
And that's how would you interpret it?
Keep focus. Keep on the goal. Keep moving. No distraction.
Bullseye, yeah? Yeah, well interpreted.
Okay. Usually, as Danvers can attest to, when it's political silly season, people then say whatever they want, whenever they want, and most times seem to get away with it. And before we get into what it is that we use as an example for this conversation, and I'm sure that Ngogoyo will then be able to send some input into that, what is the general modus operandi when it comes to what you can or cannot say? There's a law, there are suggestions, there is expectation. But when it comes to things that you can or cannot say, what is acceptable and what is not in Kenya at the moment?
Actually, I think Kenya is the only country that when we say we have freedom of expression, which we do in our constitution, on that clause there's a specific limit. And it's limited to propaganda, to war, incitement, and hate speech. Yeah, so that is the only limit to what you can say and you can't say.
Okay.
I think it is actually, in English, it's quite clear. Now, the challenge we have is in our laws in the country that implement the Constitution. Yeah, because there's only, out of the three that you're limited to, only one is actually anchored in a such which is the Act NCIC, which defines what hate speech is, which also goes to make it extremely narrow and very high on what actually is defined as what hate speech is. So propaganda to war is it's in the gray area, but rarely since our constitution, rarely has anybody been charged in spreading propaganda to war. Yeah, usually it's incitement or hate speech, which reference to as you said, it comes around the political season.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. This week, a member of parliament has been arrested, and yesterday, his case came up for mention, was released on a 250,000 shilling bond. That's John Kaguchia. And it would appear for a lot of people that this was, though could be justified, it was unfair in terms of the application of this particular justice, because people may or may not have said things that are much worse but have not been arrested. Does that make an argument?
Once again, morning. And for sure it makes a strong argument. Kaguchia, a member of parliament for Mukurweini, and by the way, a lawyer, has two arguments in court. One, he has not taken plea because he's arguing that the charge sheet is defective. Because one, who is Kasongo? Because the hate speech is against Kasongo. So who's Kasongo? Number one. Number two, why do you want to charge Kaguchia today? Because Kaguchia has said something in Nyeri, but you do not want to charge Aaron Cheriot, who says that if you do not vote together with the people from Kericho in the two-term movement, you are bringing in Madoadoa in that region. Why don't you want to charge Adan Duale, who says that a whole community, they are hyenas? What they did on Olkalao is the characteristic of hyenas. Now, what I have a problem with, and by the way, when I went to the university, the only course I did was the Bachelor of Arts in Peace and Conflict Resolution. And while talking about cohesion, there's something called the just war theory. The just war theory argues that there is a time war is allowed if it is a means to peace. There's a time war is allowed if it is a means to peace. You can look at them. It's a just war theory.
Yeah.
And it is not everything that constitutes to ill intention, and especially in the what you call campaigns. You know, maligning. When you look at the context in which Kaguchia, for instance, now is being charged for, everybody is mobilizing towards the side of the divide that they are.
Okay.
You know, the only thing we are not allowed to do right now, you cannot castigate all the Kalenjins because of William Ruto. It's unfair. There are Kalenjins who are suffering the same way other people from different parts of the community are suffering. And therefore, putting all Kalenjins to be in one basket is unfair. And by the way, I'm a person who believes in cohesion. There are a number of things I would not agree to. As an individual, you know, I'm not married from the community I was born in, so I have reservations. There are things I would not do as an individual. What I think we have is selective application of the law. That people who are supporting government cannot be charged for things that are outrightly wrong. But for people who are said to be in the opposition, if they get into a station like such, today I'm in Spice FM, you would find a contingent of police officers outside the gate. You know, you don't look serious. Number two, a Kenyan, well known. You know, I'll find you in this station in the morning. I am sure I'll find you, a former commissioner, somebody you know very well. Just summon them. Police summons were actually put in, and the Chief Justice made it better during COVID. You can just summon somebody by a WhatsApp message. This drama that the government wants to put in, you bring 80 police officers, 26 Subarus. Why do you have to do all that? For a misdemeanor. A misdemeanor is a crime that does not have a major implication. It's a misdemeanor. You erred.
I mean, Danvers, when you look at the selective application of the law and queries that Kenyans have with regard to trusting institutions that have been given the mandate to deal with such issues, what does that do to the psyche of Kenyans trusting that then an institution like the police, NCIC, would be able to deliver justice to all and not to a select few?
If you look back 2022 and we were here, actually we launched our biggest campaigns right here in the studio.
Yep.
The number one leading issue or reason why there's always election violence, or why there will be election violence, is trust. And trust here is one, trust institutions and trust in one another. Kenyans just generally don't trust institutions. And for good reason, as Mheshimiwa said right now, you can clearly see there's absolutely no reason as to why the DCI did what they did. Whether Mheshimiwa did or said, it doesn't really matter. I mean, there's really, you don't have to go out. That was to send a message, that was intimidation. And rightly you said, there are people within government who actually have been listed by institutions like NCIC who are under investigation, and we don't see them being manhandled and arrested that way. Yeah. And what they're missing is just a quick history. And this administration came into power promising Kenyans that they will not weaponize law enforcement institutions, like almost like the previous, because this actually started with the previous administration, whereby especially the DCI, the KRA, if the administration is against you, they will use these institutions to come again after you, and they did it pretty efficiently. So when these guys come in, they say, okay, we will not use institutions because these are sacred institutions. As a matter of fact, I usually say these are guardrails to our democracy. Yeah, then you weaponize them against people. So what they don't understand is it is expedient for now. It looks like they're scoring bonga points for now, but two things are happening. Number one, here's what is happening. Number one, you're undermining the foundation of our country and our democracy, to the extent that when push comes to shove, when the rubber meets the road, we will not trust any institutions, even good ones, because we've lumped all of them guilty by association. Secondly, even politically, here's my issue with what happened the other day. Even politically, this administration, actually, they are forgetting how they got into power because of public sympathy, because they were being harassed every single day. What happened was happening to them. And the guy would go around and say, oh, look how being harassed. So they are using the same playbook. But even politically, it's backfiring because Kenyans are just saying this is really an unfair application of the law. I mean, the guy has broken the law, as we said, just summon them. Even we have summons. NCIC used to have summons. If today you've said something that we think is unlawful, we'll just summon you because it's first of all the deploying of that resource. Do you know how much resource it takes to deploy? I mean, these guys, if you go to most police stations in this country, barely have fuel. Yeah, they are struggling. Yeah. Then you send 26 vehicles for one fella. I mean, seriously. I mean, we have to be also realistic here. So for me, I will call them out where it's wrong because we are undermining our democracy, and more even politically speaking, it's backfiring. Whoever thought about, I know those orders guys from above, for them to do that, by the way, because I know these guys work. I've worked with them. There's no way a single director at DCI or a senior officer can just decide to do that. It doesn't work like that. I know how the procedures are internally.
Where is this above?
He's a politician. I will let him say where the above comes from. But you're the politician. But ranks, it doesn't come within, let's put it this way. It does not come, that's a political call. It does not come within the DCI. For them to do that, knowing how they operate, because I've worked with them numerous times, it's a political call. But what they don't understand is Kenyans are genuinely, regardless whether you agree with Kaguchia or not, whether you said or not, you're looking at it and you're like, this is just wrong.
Okay, so hang on, Danvers. There's no file whereby, all right, for example, let's use Mheshimiwa Kaguchia in this case because that's, the most relevant one at the moment.
Yeah.
So there's no file whereby maybe he was at Spice FM one day and he said something, we put it down in the file. Maybe the next day he was in a rally in Mukorowene and then he said something, we write that down. There's no file that then they will have a meeting, joined meeting, NCIC and DCI, for example, and they say, okay, guys, the file is now fat. It's time that we actually pulled and said, let's now activate what we know to be the law and let's actually have a conversation with him. You're telling us that actually doesn't ever happen.
Well, so there's the due process. Let me explain the due process in other institutions. The due process, especially in a place like this, when you are accused, this Mheshimiwa Ngogoyo here is accused of, for example, hate speech. There's a due process, and it is so lengthy. There is no way he can say something today at Spice, and then tomorrow he's arrested. because there's a due process. It is a lengthy process. The bare minimum is almost 14 days. For the time of fire, that is assuming everything is really fast-tracked. Yeah, you understand? By the time he is charged, it is actually a very lengthy due process. And those measures have been put in a law for a good reason, to avoid such drama that we are seeing today, whereby somebody somewhere can make a call and agree to address somebody. And let me just address, because I've been in such situations when I was a commissioner. There's no one time those calls used to come, because they knew for a fact that at one point we have to stand for what is true, and we made it very clear. Now the due process is if let's say even Kaguchia said something, the lead time, what we call lead time, the time you open up a file and you sound somebody and arrest somebody and charge them. So from arrest to charging, my friend, it takes a lengthy process, because there's so many institutions, there's so many legal hurdles to overcome to protect the individual, because those protections are there for a good reason. Yeah.
Onesmus, when you look at the way the situation was handled with Kaguchia, right? Then one asks the question: there is seemingly a political hand behind the arrest and orders from above. Where above today, if you can help us determine where above is, you can tell us, right? But then again, what does that do to the dispensation of justice? Because when you go to court, you have to argue your case based off evidence that there is, and based off also just what exists, laws of natural justice. What does that do to giving justice to wananchi, giving justice even to the accused?
This administration, just like he said, came into power with a number of resolutions that, one, they will not use the criminal justice system to manage the politics and the affairs of this country. Quite unfortunate. The same people who are harassed by the other administration, the Kipchumba Murkomens, are the ones implementing orders that are unjust, that are unfair. It was actually Kipchumba Murkomen who ordered the police to come to arrest Kaguchia.
Okay.
Nonetheless, it's okay for you to send an OCS and put Kaguchia under arrest. Well known, numbered, with uniform. That's okay. But assuming Kaguchia was being charged over hate speech, what would be the normal procedure?
Yes.
It was NCIC to do the summon. NCIC does not arrest first. They call you for a hearing. They give you 14 days. They can even tell you come on Monday, and you tell them, I'm not available on Monday, I'm available on Thursday. They can summon you. That's number one. After they summon you, they will do their investigation and find whether this amounts to what falls under hate speech, breach of peace. They will determine. And after that, they will send it to the DPP. The ODPP is the one that presses charges against you. And NCIC will prove its case, because they are the ones alleging you committed a crime. They will use the witnesses available. Now, in this case, NCIC has not even called Kaguchia. Hate speech it's not a CID, DCI issue. It's not a national police issue. Because you see, we are anticipating that whatever you said is able to bring breach of peace.
Okay, hang on a minute. When I don't know how many people went to arrest Kaguchia at the office of our colleagues. Usually, if somebody has come to pick you up, according to the law, you should actually tell them the reason why they're being arrested. Yes? No? Okay. What was the reason that they were being given? Because all of us just assumed that it was because of the comments that he made over the weekend, which, by the way, we are saying here unequivocally that they were not the best comments to make. We're not debating that if that was the issue, that he should have said what he said. The question is, what was he told that he was being charged with that then made this arrest necessary?
At the point of arrest, the only thing he was told is that he has offended the Election Act at the point of arrest.
Okay.
When they realized when they took him to DCI and then brought him to Kamkunji police station, they realized the Election Offences Act, it's only active when there is a campaign, an election day declared, a campaign period. That is when it is effective. So what they did is that they went and preferred other charges on him under the penal code, that he has an intention to breach peace. Naturally, that is not the job of the DCI, neither the police.
He had an intention to breach the peace. In such a situation, what would the NCIC then do? Because it's interesting, we haven't heard the NCIC call him. We have heard last week that the NCIC did say that they were going to investigate a number of people. CS Dwale was mentioned, Rigathi Gachagua also mentioned, and one other person.
Actually, it is correct that 2 days ago, NCIC put Kaguchia part of the people.
He was up amongst that list, was he not?
He was.
All right. Okay,
so he's been called by them, actually.
So he has been called because they did mention that they were saying, okay, we're going to launch investigations into this. But we've never seen the NCIC push to the point whereby an arrest was then made because of investigations that they had. Usually it's come, have fine, have a conversation, something like that. But what would then warrant such action, Danvers?
For what happened?
Yes.
I mean, like you said, this is pure politics. I don't think it's an issue of law.
Okay.
I'm going to be very honest with you because Moshimi has been very clear in actually articulating the process within the commission. Actually, I thought he's ex-commissioner there. I was being very clear because due process is very important.
Yep.
And it is no one time. Let me give you a true story because this exactly happened in 2022. So this is a playbook that we've seen. In 2022, Moshimi Nturi was in Eldoret.
Yes.
He used the word Madoa-doa, which he has mentioned right now. Because of the history of our country, we actually, it was a Saturday. It was rally in Eldoret on Saturday afternoon. He said, "Kutokuwa na Madoa-doa, hapa hivi Uasin Gishu." In the history of our country, especially in Uasin Gishu, you can't go there. I mean, you can use something else. Say 6-piece, or if you meant political issues, but you cannot use that word. Because we know the history of our country. We summoned him to come to NCSU on Wednesday. Sunday morning, I'll never forget this. I got a call from very senior people who
above.
No, not above.
Not
UDA.
above?
They were
Okay,
this
okay.
camp.
Okay.
They're like, dude, why are you arresting this guy? It was Sunday morning, like 3-4 calls coming in. I'm like, who did we arrest? I'm like, you arrested Nturi. The Subarus have come in his hotel and have just
Picked the guy.
pick the guy and you don't know where he is. He's going like, I thought you guys said he's coming on Wednesday. So I called the officers. Like, have we arrested Nturi? I'm like, no, we haven't. Like, are you really, really sure? Like, yes, we haven't. Can you make a few calls to find out? Because apparently, Moshimi Nturi has been arrested and battled in Subarus, heading to nobody knows where. Same thing. So we make a few calls and realize it's our colleagues at where? The DCI, who arrested him. So we were even more perplexed. We're like, okay, first of all, he's violated there's an alleged violation of NCIC Act. We summoned him. He's gonna come on Wednesday and I'll tell you why we do that. Because he said how we do that, I'll tell you why. So then we call and I make a few calls. I realize he's en route to the DC headquarters in Kiambu Road. Okay. Then they call us and they said, well, can NCC come to DCI and record a statement? Now listen to this.
Okay.
Can you come over and record a statement from Nturi? Like, we don't operate like that. I mean, he's coming on Wednesday. You can't come right now because there's a reason why we do that. And the reason we do that is because by law, the chain of evidence is very important. When somebody says something on TV, today I say something, Moshimi say something here, just because I said it, and it's clear, Kenyans know I said something that is wrong, or he said something is wrong. That doesn't really matter in the court of law. The question is the threshold of evidence. So that clip, just because it's circulating, doesn't mean anything in the court. I'm just letting you know. Just because it is out there. Now we're trying to appeal to change some. There has to be. We have to go to CIK, okay, CAK has to come to you, Spice, and says, okay, you need to submit that clip. Now, Spice can say we record it or not. And then they have to certify it has not been interpreted, it's not AI, it's not anything. And then send it to us. If it's in some other language, it has to be interpreted. If it's in English, it is that takes days. That's why we do that, because by the time we call CAK and the CAK reaches us to you, we know it's going to take a while. Then we call you, say, okay, this is what you said. We can clearly, please write a statement.
Yep.
And then we have to go, like I say, we have to go, the DP says, okay, you've done your job, now we will issue the warrant to arrest or charge the fella. And that's very important. Now, the DCI skipped all that process because, again, calls were made. You understand? Guess what happened to Luturi? He's acquitted.
Yeah.
There's no charges preferred because you've broken every due process that you could have done, even as we could, because you already muddied the water so much we can't even help it. Yeah. So that's why it's important for us for institutions to follow the due process laid out. Even we have to sometimes resist that pressure and say no, we'll do it now. A few days ago, actually, the four institutions came together: the IBC, NCIC, the DCI, and the OPP.
Yeah.
For they created this high-level multi-agency task force to combat such things, and I commend them. Now, had this arrest had happened after they have done all these organization, then you can justify why DCI did it. Yeah. But it hadn't been, they just jumped the gun. So for me, it is important, and that's why I will always speak the truth. And sometimes I used to get in trouble, as the commissioners, because for me, I understand the long game we play as a country. Yeah, we can't just be expedient that just because we disagree with somebody politically, then you can use institutions that are there for law enforcement or for that matter to harass them, to prosecute. It's just not agreeable.
Okay, we're going to go to a break, but then we come back and then open this up a little bit more, then to just get a bit of an understanding. Because what we've essentially said here is that there's a process, perhaps the process that we are looking at now that the NCIC is going through with the individuals who have been called or for whom they've said that there will be investigations into them. And it's public, so we can say here, Aidan Dwale, Rigathi Gachagua, John Kaguchia, to then ask certain questions about what's going on. So the process that you describe is what could be possibly happening right now as we speak. And then if that is the case, then the brothers at DCI then can come and have a conversation with them if it has been founded that there's a threshold that has been met. Okay, you'll come back and explain to us a little bit more. We're talking this morning about, why then have this on some and not on the others? But it's coming up very clearly here that it's political and that somebody above in this place where you can't get a visa to is pulling the strings. We'll come back, continue with this in a bit.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day. Mornings done right. 94.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
All right, we continue with our conversations this morning with Danvers Makori and Ngogoyo Onesmus.
Yeah. Mashimo, when you look at the point where we are as a country, different statements have been made, including reports. The Kofi Annan report the other day said Kenya is at the brink of almost 2007, or even worse than that. And that many has also attributed that to statements then coming from the political class. While there is the importance of following then the process in terms of making sure that justice is dispensed, how do we then, now that you play in that circle, how do we ensure that statements that you give do not sound as drums of war?
Like I said before beginning, I'll be the worst of myself if what I was taught in school is not what I'm practicing. I told you I did a Bachelor of Arts in Peace and Conflict Resolution at the Nazarene University, and I was taught the importance of peace. The UN today is the largest employer, naturally, because there's a lot of instability. And what they sell, what the commodity of trade for them is availing peace where there is none. So, I believe let's do politics without incitement. You can be elected without inciting people. We can get William Ruto out of power, not necessarily by demonizing the country. We can sell a better agenda. 2022 is a perfect example that a government was elected by people because of the bottom-up thing. Though it was a lie, but at least we know. The William Ruto was elected because he sold an agenda to Kenyans. In 2002, the same. I was still around the country. And you could see Kibaki was elected and people didn't want the Kanu regime because he gave hope to Kenyans that they can deliver a new Kenya. And it was. So come towards 2027, I being one of the players in the game and expected to run a national campaign, much as I'll be contesting for Kajiado North, I want to agree, let's do politics without offending any act or any legislation. The issues of hate speech, Election Act. And you know why we say there's a code of ethics? It's because all of us need to play in a fair environment. And number two, there's nothing like, towards an election, there's nothing like government or opposition. You know, we all need a peaceful country. What happened in 2007 was not nice. Kajiado North grew, not because people shifted to Kajiado North because they wanted. The late Professor George Saitoti started a school called PCA Mixed Day Secondary School. It was supposed to be a girls' school. But because of the exodus of people from Rift Valley, he had to start a school that would accommodate girls and boys in 2007. He even did a makeshift, Mabati classes out of his own resources. So that's not a situation we want. And instability, even when you're in leadership and the country is unstable, you do not have anything to be proud of. So specifically on that issue, I would impress on all of us, both even in DCP. We want to do politics that is agenda-based, and cohesion is part of what we believe in. I mean, even if we get William Ruto out of power, we want the country to be intact. And that's why you'd see some of us, we cross the aisle. We have friends on either of the sides, despite us being in this side. We have our colleagues, though they are, what we call sycophants in the other side, but they are our friends. There are some of them. Even Murkomen is just a sycophant. It's just that he changed. He was our friend, by the way. He doesn't change. Nowadays, he only sends us a few abuses here and there. But, he's also juvenile. You can excuse him. So you just leave it. When somebody is childish, it doesn't mean... It's just the character that has not grown. And for that reason, you excuse them. But allow me to say that it is not everyone. Among us, all these politicians, even both in government, not all of them. There are some who are mature. Even on our end, there are some who make mistakes. Let us correct those mistakes. We say we are in growth. Even the country itself. Actually, Kenya is a good democracy, and its democracy is still growing. We have not reached where we should be, but that's why we have the law, so that the law takes care of all of us to equalize us. And in my honest opinion, we are not doing so well. I would not want to see what I saw in 2007.
That was, when you talk about the criminal justice system, where NCIC as well does it, one asks the question, seemingly everyone is working in silos. Everyone is doing their thing on the side and not speaking together, because if at the end of the day NCIC would do its investigations, it would summon people and before then going to the DCI all the way to the DPP, there has to be a clear way of working together so that at the end of the day you have a strong case to present before the court. But what you're seeing today is this matter has been bungled from the word go. How do we fix that? You were there before. How do we fix that to ensure that when we bring cases to court, we're not bringing cases to ask for further investigations?
Excuse me. First of all, how do you fix it? Actually, a few days back, I think it was yesterday or the day before yesterday, they convened, NCIC, IBC, RPP, and DCI convened the multi-agency task force. Because silos are dangerous and are very ineffective and bureaucratic. In 2022, we sat together with the Office of Director of Prosecution and the Chief Justice. We convened, and it was for a very good reason. when today, if you're charged, let's say with hate speech, it will take approximately 4 to 5 years by the time your case is hard and determined. And we knew for a fact politicians love that because Leo may arrest him too. Somebody will forget even 3 weeks later what you said. Yeah. So we sat together and had an issue, and we had a meeting with the Chief Justice. And I thank her because she established 5 special courts, okay, in 2022, specifically to hear hate speech issues and election offenses. And the ODP gave us 115 prosecutors. Okay? So what we did, and we gave notice to the political class, we say, listen, today, in this time, if we arrest you or charge you with hate speech, you have almost, actually, the Chief Justice promised less than 3 months. We're pushing for a month. From the time your case is heard and determined, you basically be in prison within a month. And you did not hear any politician misbehave in 2022. We didn't actually have, apart from what Lituri said about Matatu, there's really nobody I can tell you for free we had an issue with.
So are you saying that as a result of that, where you make it public that this is what is going to happen, then you set a precedent where people then will behave themselves?
Yeah.
Deterrence, right? Right?
Yeah. So and it actually worked because they knew for a fact you don't have 5 years now. You have 1 month. Actually, by the time you're arrested, by the time you're sentenced, you have exactly 1 month. And that's within the election period. Yeah. So we understood you will even have, you're not probably in the ballot to begin with.
Right.
So to answer your, that's why they did this, because it helps a lot in fast tracking, in creating a deterrence within the criminal justice system. So that also what we did also is give an assurance and make it very predictable what will happen, so that you know exactly what's going to happen. Yeah. So in case you've had arrested Ngogoyo Onesmus today, if you see him arrested and jailed within a month, you don't say, okay, how come his case was fast tracked and how comes it is everybody, this is exactly going to happen.
Because that's what's in the law right now.
It is a cooperation.
It's an agreement.
It's an agreement. It wasn't in the law right now. If you go within the laws, the criminal justice system right now, it takes forever.
Sure.
Just the reality.
So there is an understanding amongst these 4 parties that we'll do whatever we can to fast track anything that comes so that people can understand, because you're looking at the bigger picture here, that you want to keep people safe, kind of like what Onesmus talks about here. You want to keep people safe. It's interesting because you and Mokomen are namesakes, by the way. I just wanted to remind you that. I just wanted to remind you that just
the bad Onesmus.
Okay. But that is so that for the greater good, for peace, that agreement has been arrived at. But I want to understand, because here we are, and everybody's the audience here, and when people are at a rally and they say certain things and it comes to the public, you're not quite sure. So which one is okay? When Kaguchia says what he said, when Aiden Wali calls people, hyenas. Because he did. I mean, people always talk about how it can be misconstrued.
No,
what I
There's
said
no misconstruction of that.
is not what I meant.
No.
I didn't mean hyena, the one in the bush. I meant another. I don't know. But can you say that? Or when people say that you don't have any votes here, it belongs to the mountain, kind of thing. What is allowed? Because maybe we can understand. Because my threshold. I mean, I could insult you within an inch of your life and somebody else wouldn't take offense. But what are we saying is the threshold that has been set that you cannot cross?
There is, I think I would underline what Ngogoyo Onesmus has said here. And because here's a problem we have in our country. Right now, as we speak, we have serious problems in our country. And Kenya is really, really suffering. And people are going through a lot. And it's unfortunate that politicians, because I'm going to put that to your question into context. Of our daily existence as Kenyans. Right now, if you go to Mombasa Road, right now, outside your studio right now, people are walking to work because they don't have fare.
Yes. Yeah.
To these industries back here.
Yes.
Yeah. And they're just struggling. People have been laid off. Companies have been shut down because of this, just the bad economic times we face. Now, it's very unfortunate when political leaders from both sides of the aisle are engaging, they're trying to see how far they can go to the edge.
Right.
You understand? How can I push the envelope and be offensive? Now, a lot of things they say actually is not so much illegal, it's just offensive. Sometimes we mistake that.
Okay.
Yeah, so somebody says very offensive things, they're like, how in the world why would they say that? It's so offensive. But guess what? Legally speaking, they haven't come to the threshold of incitement or hate speech. They just know how to push the envelope.
Yeah.
Now, I would urge, like he has said, and if you look at the political class, it's not many that actually do that. It's just, I usually call it the majority actually are within are reasonable and sensible. Yeah. What I call the frequent flyers. You know, the guys who are always constantly. We used to have the same thing in the city. We know who they are. We know they'll push the envelope because maybe they have nothing to sell. So I would flip the coin like this to Kenyans. Please reject leaders, regardless of what side they come from, who have nothing to offer to you but insults and try to push the envelope. Because you have serious problems. Listen to a leader who says, okay, here's your problem economically, here's what I'll proffer as a solution. Yeah? Because if we have fiscal policies that are wrong, here's what I can fix. Because the leaders we need. Because in most countries, if you go to our neighboring countries, we don't have this we don't have these dances or politicians just pushing the envelope and being so offensive. Yeah. So I would also recommend and even for you as within the news media to just mute some of these people because you give them so much airtime, and the sensible ones you don't give them much airtime. You know, we always give these noisemakers who are so offensive so much airtime. Yet people who have serious policies that can fix our country because they sound boring, because they're not exciting, because they don't offer insert in political rallies. We don't give them. So for me also,
a dog wags a tail, or a tail doesn't wag a dog.
I know. But you see, it's an ecosystem. What I'm trying to say is an ecosystem. Yeah. Because also, do you know why you do it? Because if you go to a political rally right now, and I've been to many of them, both when I was a professional, the commissioner, even right now. The politician who excites people is the one who really pushes the envelope and calls this. But if you come here and says, I have 5 agendas and talk about policy, guys, man, they have no time to listen to you. You understand? So for me, it's an ecosystem where we need to course correct. We have to course correct everybody, the political class, beginning with them, but also the population, because why they start is because people like listening to such.
Indeed.
Yeah.
It's interesting that you talk about the platform. So, Moshoba, we actually, because we have a conversation, but we talk to ourselves as well, that we can actually deplatform some of this nonsense, and that we will get to a place whereby the real thing shines through.
Yep.
And the folks then who will be telling you about maintaining peace, avoiding conflict, bringing up policies that actually matter for the people of Kenya, it will shine through, and then we'll be very clear. We don't have to be confused in rallies and things like that, because you will then know who is interested in building the nation. Would you agree with that?
I agree with you. You know, I'm a good student of history. Julius Nyerere built Tanzania with politics of inclusion. Martin Luther rallied Americans with the message of non-violence. Mahatma Gandhi moved India to what it is today by messages of peace and and his message of salt, when he believed that salt is a small component, but what it does, are so many things that can change the world. And he used to tell people, you're like salt. You know, you can be good for food, you can be good for an injury, anything. And therefore, I believe that we can still change. Of course, we have a big problem with the object of the presidency. See, when you have the presidency that is defective, it's not very easy. You know, they say everything, John C. Maxwell says, everything rises and falls on leadership. When the president looks at the opposition and says, he wajinga, it is not very easy to have sanity. It's not very easy.
The first thing you want to do is respond.
Yes,
to that.
because let me tell you, there's no way he will say that and think that he will have an easy ride. We will go after him. And I'm telling you as a politician. So when you have a president who is like that, you know why Kibaki, as a person, did not have so many controversies amidst even controversial elections, is because his character was very peaceful as a person. Even those ones who didn't like him, there are a number of things they would not want to engage Kibaki over. The former president Uhuru Kenyatta, one thing that was good about him is that he would not care so much about what you tell him. He would not care so much. It was not very personal to him what you say. He would actually even tell politicians, go, even those ones on his team.
Yeah.
That's a good character. And by the way, one of the things we should do, we should not have an extremist in any side of the divide. Politicians who are extreme, a president who is extreme is not good. Actually, I just remembered in school 2 things. Spoilers and extremists are the reason why politics cannot have sanity. So if you have an extremist or a spoiler, somebody who intentionally wants to show, you have somebody like Oscar who just wants to show his community and the president that I support you. So I can do anything on the extreme. I can record and say everything that I want, and I am done. But allow me also to tell you that for this 2027 election, are we able to have a lot of discipline? Not with the current president. Not possible.
Are you saying that the members of parliament, for example, or those who politicians, will only behave in the way in which the behavior of the president elicits?
Monkey see, monkey do. Don't be lied to, because that's the mirror we have.
And fish rots from the head.
Yeah.
Danvers, even as you come to the top of the hour, we don't want to head back to where we were 2007, and it calls for sanity across board. The criminal justice system, everybody has to play their role. The political class as well has to play their role in making sure that this country is preserved. What would be your clarion call, especially to the criminal justice system where you sat?
One, remember that you are a duty bearer and you're a custodian of our constitution. And you've been given that leadership, not just by Kenyans, also by God. Your responsibility is beyond an individual. Let me say this because the duty bearers are state officers. A state officer takes an oath. We took an oath to the state, not to a regime, not to an individual. You understand? There's a difference between a state and a regime. Your allegiance, duty bearers, those who can listen to me, your allegiance is to the state, not to an individual. And when you understand that, then your conscience will be clear when you stand for what is right rather than what is political expedient. You resist those calls and pressure when you're told to do something that you know for a fact undermines the law and the sanctity of what you swore an oath to. Yeah? So first of all, to me, that's important. Secondly, if you do not hold your line, yeah, 2007 was a collapse in many areas, including the criminal justice system. Yeah. So you are the guardrail. State officers, you're the guardrail to our constitution. Your guardrail to peace and security is you. The officers, whether you're the National Police Service, National Intelligence Service, there are a commissioner, you're a judge, regardless of who you are, as long as you're in the criminal justice system or the security system, you're the guardrail that makes sure this vehicle called Kenya does not go overboard. So for you to be used by individual, regardless of who it is, because times come and go, nobody's permanent. Because let me tell you something. Did you see what happened to yesterday? The Sheikh Hasina, former Bangladesh Prime Minister, says she's going back. Now, after the revolution in Bangladesh, the protest, she was charged and with crimes against humanity and sentenced to death. Now she wants to go back. What is important with Bangladesh? What I liked what they did is they hold the entire, beginning with her, they held everybody accountable to what they did. So let me say this as a state officer: one day, one time, you never know who's going to come power. There'll be a day of reckoning and accountability. So do you want to be on the short end because you said our received orders is not an excuse,
Right.
Our stole is not an excuse in defense. No, it is you.
And that moment.
In that moment, it is you who acted. It's you who did. It's you who gave orders, and it's you who held accountable. One day in this country, there'll be a day of reckoning. There'll be a day of accountability. So will you be say, "Oh, I was told"? No. The person who told you is not in existence. So for me, that is my current call to the officers. And secondly, the political class, as we said here, we honestly have some serious problems in our country and challenges. Can we just offer solutions to Kenyans?
Indeed.
Yeah, indeed, and then they can help our country.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
A great way to end this morning. And for us to then say that these conversations must continue and that the seeking after peace, Mheshimiwa, must continue. Asante sana to both of you joining us in this this morning, Danvers Makori and Onesmus Ngogoyo. Asante sana. Good morning. Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
8
Thank you.
a.m.
Thank you.
The latest news from around the world. 94.4 Spice FM. This is the Situation Room. The only way to start your day.